I want to say thank you for joining my live tonight and welcome to Heart with me. And I just thank you in advance for your love, for your support. Hey, Matt. Well, sorry, Charles Cast. I thank you for your love, for your support on this journey. This is new for me. I am stepping out of my comfort zone. This isn't something that I usually do. But my friend Brian has pushed me and basically kind of made me do this. So, with that being said, who am I? I am, some people know me as B Diva. That is the person who loves to turn up. That's the person who enjoys life. That's the person who, um, I'm just always celebrating life no matter what it is. I take over the entire month of October. I call it Brandtober. I love a celebration. And my motto for Be Diva is live, love, laugh. That is because I love love. I love to laugh. I love being surrounded with positive people, positive energy. And I just feel like life can get so hard and it's like nobody wants to celebrate like the small things in life. So I always, from as far as I can remember from being like a little girl, I always enjoyed like going out, going to events and just having a good time. But I'm also Pray the Impossible. And Pray the Impossible, that is my spiritual side. That's the person who's going to pray for you. That's the person who gives you encouraging words. That's the person who is posting words of the day. That's the spiritual friend visor that I've termed myself, the person who gives advice based off of godly wisdom. So I don't believe in being one dimensional. I feel like everybody has different sides to them, and that makes up who you are. So that is me. I'm Brandy. Brandy, I am an author, as you can see, my book. I recently wrote Real Talk, a conversation from my heart to yours a year ago. And that's the Brandy is the businesswoman, the entrepreneur, and that is who my mother created. So, with that being said, the purpose of Heart to Heart. The purpose of Heart to Heart is basically think about having a conversation with your friend who you just talk to about life, the ups, the downs, the twists, the turns, the good, the bad, and the ugly. And uh, the good, the bad, and the ugly. And this platform, I want to use it to motivate people, to encourage people, to inspire people, and to just be that friend where we can be transparent and we can be authentic and real with one another, because I feel like people tend to keep whatever they're going through to themselves, and nobody, sometimes you may feel like you may not have that person who you can share that with. So Heart to Heart Thursdays with me, that is what this platform is for. So on here we're going to talk about different topics. I'm going to interact with the viewers. Maybe one day I'll have a special guest on here where it could be someone who I wrote about on Pray the Impossible. So we're just going to talk about different things, and everything here is going to be positive and just uplifting. So how was Heart to Heart birthed? Heart to Heart, for those of you who have my book, and if you don't have my book, at the end of each conversation, I have a note section called Heart to Heart. And the note section is where I'm asking you questions based off of the conversation that we just had. And these questions are coming from my heart. So my friend Brian, who's on here, Mr. Brian Johnson, who is also my photographer, when we were recording my book last year, but even before then, I was on his podcast last September. And if they don't got, all right, thank you. Tell them they need to get the book, Charms. Thank you. So I was on Brian's podcast last year, and after the podcast, we were just talking, and he was like, yo, I think you should do a podcast. And I'm like, yeah, no, that's not really for me. I'm good. Like, no, I don't want to do a podcast. So then when we were recording the book, several times he kept telling me or encouraging me to do a podcast. And I told him that I liked the idea of hosting a show where it would be like me and somebody else on my couch just having a conversation, just talking about life. Well, of course, life happened, so I never really had the opportunity this past year to actually pursue it. And I think probably I might have even forgotten about it. About 2 weeks ago, Brian and I had a conversation where he pretty much told me about myself and was like, yo, fam, what are you doing? You need to have a third component. I know you have your book, I know you have social media, but you need a third component because there are people who want to hear you and who need to hear you. And Brandy being Brandy, I was like, no, I don't really want to do that. Like, I'm not the type of person where I'm posting IG live videos of me talking. Like, if I'm posting a video, you see me out and about, or you see me dancing, turning up, but I never felt comfortable in front of the camera just sitting here talking. So then I told him, all right, well, I gave in and I was like, okay, I'll start the talk show or whatever. And he's like, okay, cool. So when you doing it? And I was like, oh my God, like, he's really like pushing me and forcing me right now. And so I was like, fine, give me 2 weeks and then I'll start it. So here we are, Heart to Heart Thursday. So Brian, I thank you for the push. Yes, all three. Yes, the rule of three. Yes. So I thank you for the push because some of you may have noticed that on my Instagram story, I have been posting different Instagram inspirational gems from my heart. And by me doing that, I didn't realize how many people were like, yo, B, like, thank you. I needed that. That was right on time. So again, Brian, I thank you for that. Thank you for that push and helping me to step out of my comfort zone. So tonight we are going to discuss gifts and purpose. Now, I want you to know it's okay if you don't know what your gifts are, if you don't know what your purpose is, it's totally fine. Just know that we were all created for a purpose and that God has given each and every one of us different spiritual gifts to help one another. So whatever God gave me as my spiritual gift, he gave it to me because you may be lacking in that area, so I'm here to help you, and vice versa. God may have given you a spiritual gift that is meant to help me that's lacking in a particular area of my life. And everybody's unique gifts is tied to their purpose. It's tied to their purpose. So for me, I'll give you my testimony. So for me, I love to journal. I'm always journaling, and in 2016, February of 2016, it was Lent. And I was doing a reflection on what God was just speaking to me. So in 2016, I wrote down in my notebook, y'all look at my notebook. I got all types of notes here. So in 2016, I wrote, I'm living in my purpose. I love and enjoy helping those around me. I love giving and sharing the wisdom and knowledge that God speaks to me. I said, I'm glad and delighted that God is using me as a living testimony. My life encourages others to just do it and that they can too. So I wrote this in 2016. And when I wrote that, I really didn't know at the time that that was my gift, and I didn't know that that was my purpose because I wasn't even looking for my gift or my purpose. It kind of just stumbled upon me. And so then in 2017, March of 2017, I got baptized. And what I didn't realize is that when I got baptized, that was the ending of the person that I once knew, and that was the beginning of someone who I didn't even know existed. So what I enjoy doing on a regular basis with friends and family, encouraging them, posting little things on Facebook, I didn't know that God was going to magnify that in such a way that was impacting the lives of other people, people that I don't even know, people that I don't even speak to on a regular basis. So, so my gifts are communications and speaking, writing, and wisdom. So with my gifts, how my gifts are tied to my purpose. So with communication and speaking, I'm always sharing my testimony to help other people. I'm always sharing words of encouragement. Ask any of my friends or family, they'll tell you, like, I'm always just encouraging people to just be their best self. Um, Writing, I've I wrote a book. I write weekly devotionals, and then I write words of the day, and then I also write words of encouragement that I post on Pray the Impossible. And then, as far as wisdom, wisdom is a gift that God gave me because I recognize that whenever I go through a trial or tribulation, what I learned through that trial and tribulation, God gives me the wisdom to help give people sound advice, because every time I go through something, I feel like a friend or somebody that I know goes through it right after me. So I'm able to give them the wisdom and advice of what I did to get through that situation to help them. So the funny thing about my gifts are, when I was growing up, I did not like the sound of my voice. Like, if I heard my voice on a recording, or even to this day, if I hear my voice being played back, I'm like, oh gosh, like, no, I never liked the sound of my voice. Um, I was never confident speaking in front of like the class. Like, when you're in school and the teachers would ask, like, oh, does anybody have any questions or anything? I never was confident enough to speak up. So I would always just like keep whatever my thought or my opinion was to myself. Um, and I never thought I was that good of a writer, although I majored in communications. Although I majored in communications, I always had literature classes, so I would always have to write papers, but I never thought it was that good. So when I got an A or a B, I was like, oh, okay, maybe I'm not so bad after all. So, and throughout the night, I'm going to be dropping gems. So the first gem that I'm going to give you is the things that you may not like about yourself, or you may not feel confident in. Those might actually be the things that God is using as your spiritual gift. I say that again. Whatever you may not like about yourself, or whatever you may not feel confident in or insecure in, that could actually be what God is using as your gift. So, my purpose. The gifts that God gave me, the gifts that God gave you, He uses that for your purpose. So I realized that my purpose is to help people, to inspire people, to encourage people. And I do that through the gifts that He has given me. That's through speaking, that's through writing the book, and that's through giving godly advice based off of God's wisdom that He gives me. So, gem number 2 is your spiritual gifts are what you use for your purpose. I'm going to say it again. Your spiritual gifts are what you use for your purpose. So, then you want to know, so you have your spiritual gifts and then you have your purpose. So then it's like, well, how do I walk in my purpose? I'm going to tell you. Life always comes full circle. So whatever you enjoyed doing when you was younger, whatever you enjoy doing as an adult, God is going to use those things that you enjoy for your purpose. So when I was younger, in middle school, I wanted to be a child psychiatrist. Then when I was in high school, I wanted to host 106 in Park. Then when I was in college, I wanted to be a news reporter. So now that I'm walking in my purpose, although I'm not technically a child psychiatrist or hosting 106 in Park or a news reporter, God gave me the ability to actually still do those things. So I'm going to break it down and let you know how. So I wanted to be a child psychiatrist. I consider myself a spiritual friend advisor, and that's a friend who gives advice based off of godly wisdom. I'm giving you counsel, I'm giving you advice, I'm here to help you. A child psychiatrist does the same thing. You speak to your psychiatrist or whatever the case is, and they give you advice and they counsel you. I wanted to host 106 in Park. So a host is a speaker who speaks in front of an audience. So currently now, what I'm realizing my purpose is now I'm doing heart to hearts. Whenever I have an event where I'm selling a book, I have speaking engagements where I would speak about the book and speak to encourage and help people. What else? For my church, I read the announcements, so I'm also speaking in front of an audience. For my sorority, I was the corresponding secretary, so I would have to stand at the meeting and read the announcements to people. And then last but not least, what was the other thing? Oh, I wanted to be a news reporter. So a news reporter shares the news reporter shares information. Although I'm not a news reporter, I'm sharing the news from God. So whether it's sharing a testimony, it's sharing advice to help you, it's sharing my faith to help encourage and build up your faith. And it's just being a witness to what God has done in my life to just continue to help people. So gem number 3 is whatever you may have wanted to do or be at some point in your life, when you are walking in your purpose, God will use it in a way that he sees fit. So for example, if when you were younger, maybe God gave you the gift of dancing, right? And maybe when you were younger, you thought, oh, I'm gonna be like a professional dancer, or I'm gonna be a ballet dancer or whatever. But now that you're walking in your purpose, God is using that talent. Instead of being a professional dancer, maybe God is using you to create your own dance organization to help inner city kids so that they can have an after school program. So you have to start to think about what you enjoyed doing when you were younger and what you enjoy doing now and what your passion and what your gift is, because all of that comes back full circle and everything is tied together. So so those are my spiritual gifts. That's my purpose. And hey Crystal. And those are I figured this all out honestly. Like God was revealing this to me over the past year or so as I've been doing Pray the Impossible, and I've just been seeing the impact of lives that I've had on people just through having conversations, just through communicating with people, posting a word, not knowing like I wasn't out here like, oh my God, what's my purpose? It was just kind of like, no, now that you were baptized and you decided to do things my way, it's like, all right, now I gotta elevate you. Now I gotta use you on a higher level to continue to help people. So this is the part of the show now where if you have questions, you have comments, we can keep the conversation going. I want to hear from you. So I'm here to help you, help me, and we're going to help each other. So don't be afraid to ask whatever questions you want. Yeah, now I got to move the iPad over here. Just one. So does anybody have any questions? Do you know what your purpose is? Do you not know what your purpose is? I want you to know that we don't wake up one day and say, oh my gosh, like what is like I was born and I know what my purpose is. Oh, hold on. Do you think finding your purpose takes time and prayer? Absolutely. Absolutely. If you don't already know it, I feel like you need to spend time with God. For me, I was fasting. I'm still trying to figure out my purpose, which is totally fine. Because like I had said earlier, I didn't find out my purpose until 2016. And I didn't start walking in my purpose until last year. And the way that God revealed my purpose to me was through fasting. I was fasting during Lent. And while I was fasting and praying and just like reading devotionals, reading the word, God just dropped it in my spirit. Like he kind of just revealed to me, and I wrote down like things that I loved and enjoyed doing. And then I sat back and said, wow, that's my purpose. So I definitely think that time and prayer with God is how you will find your purpose if you don't know it. And then just reflecting on what you enjoy doing and what you're passionate about, that's how you can also find out what your purpose is. And just remember, it's okay. It takes time to figure out what your purpose is. But once you figure it out, you just have to continue to walk in it and continue to just ask God to help you along the way. Yes, LaVasia. Hey, friend. Do you think one's purpose is birthed from passion or pain or either? That is a really good question. And honestly, I think it could be a mix of everything, right? And so your pain, when you go through, so prime example, me writing my book, right? God had to separate me. And as he separated me and isolated me and just had me literally by myself with him in my apartment, of course I was feeling all different types of emotions. And it was through that pain that I found my purpose. It was through the pain and the healing and thinking about things that happened from like years ago, family, friends, whatever the case is, and writing that book produced my purpose. So that's one way, or something that you're extremely passionate about. Like you could be passionate about dancing, right? I had used this example earlier. You could be passionate about dancing, and it's like you just have this urge to want to help, and it's like then something will just drop in your spirit like, you know what, I love dancing, I love helping people, so you know what, I'm going to create my own organization. So I definitely think that your purpose and your passion, your pain and your pain and your passion will help you also recognize what your purpose is. As a person who sometimes suffers from anxiety, what advice can you give to someone who needs to stay on the path to their purpose? That is a good question. I feel like to stay on your path with your purpose, like I mentioned earlier, is definitely time with God and praying. Because when you're by yourself and that anxiety hits and there's no one there to thank you, and there's no one there that you can talk to, and it's just like, God, you know what, he tells us to cast our cares, worries, and anxiety onto him because he cares about us. So anytime you feel like that anxiety, and sometimes that anxiety will try to keep you from your purpose, but honestly at the end of the day, that's the enemy causing that anxiety, because he doesn't want you to live out your purpose. Because once you live out your purpose, it's like you're going to continue to help so many people. So don't let anytime you feel that anxiety like kind of kick in, that's when you got to be like, nope, God, give me the peace, give me peace that surpasses all understanding. I cast my cares and my worries onto you, because this isn't from you. God is a God of peace. So anytime you feel any type of feelings that aren't in alignment with peace, that's the enemy trying to distract you. So in order to stay on the path, I would just say continue to spend time with God, because the enemy does not want anybody living out their purpose. Yes, I'm just keeping it real, like for real. Like he does not want you to live out your purpose. And also, your purpose and your gifts are not meant for you. They are meant to help other people. And that's ultimately why God created us, is to help other people. So you may feel like, I don't know my purpose. Think about what you enjoy doing. Think about like how you like to help people, and whatever you enjoy doing, that's what God will reveal. Like, you know what, you like helping people in this type of way. There are some people who like to feed the homeless. There are some people who are generous with giving. So maybe you need to start an organization, or it doesn't even have to be starting your own organization, but just join something where you could help other people. And while you're doing that, then God can also reveal what your purpose is. Hold on. You feel so lost lately. We trust me. I have my days. I have my days too where it be like, God, like I don't even know what's going on. Am I going left? Am I going right? God, I'm tired. We have, but that's because we're human, right? So we're gonna feel lost at times. But then you just have to regroup and figure out like, no, I'm here for a reason. Like I'm not lost on purpose. It's just a moment. It's just a distraction. But I'm here. God created me here. There's people that I need to help. So it's okay if you feel lost. You just gotta regroup. So anybody else have any other questions? Comments? Girl, yes. Oh, yes, that's good. Once people give God the glory, then they'll identify their purpose. Yes, okay, so wait. One question is, how do you prioritize God, putting God first in every aspect of your life? You know what? That is really good because I've been focusing on that this year. And that's a work in progress for me throughout 2019. That was my focus because I thought I was putting God first before, but I really wasn't until like the more time I spend with God, the more time I realized that I was putting him first. How do you do that? Well, first, the scripture that I said was a scripture that I'm gonna be reading throughout the year is Matthew 6:33. Seek first the kingdom of God, and He will add everything else. How do you do that? And it looks different for everybody. For me, what I do when I wake up in the morning, thank you God for waking me up. When I get in the shower, I'm just having a conversation with God and I'm praying to God. When I'm getting ready for work, I'm listening to gospel music. I'm reading my devotionals. So when you wake up in the morning and you're thinking about God instead of going on your cell phone to check Instagram, that's a way that you put God first. How else are you putting God first? You're praising and you're worshiping him. What I'm working on for I was doing a countdown 35 days to 35, and I was working on not asking God for anything. And I say that as far as praying to God about what I want him to do for me. So instead of putting me and my wants first, I've been trying to focus on just thinking about God and just, praising him like, God, you're good. Thank you, God. Things like that. That's what works for me. So it looks different for everybody else, but just putting God first is just like seeking him first, like seeking the things of him. You know what? How for me was putting God first, making sure that after I pray, I know at a certain time I gotta post my word of the day before I can do anything else. Oh, you know what? Let me post this video because this is what God called me to do. So let me make sure I do the things he wants me to do first before I go into anything else. I have been tested so much at work lately that I'm trying to figure out, is it God telling me to move on? Courtney, no, it could mean two things. It could be God is testing you because there may be something that you need to learn at work. He's testing you because whatever you may be tested in at that area of work, God is trying to work on you, work on your character, work on your faith. Sometimes God tests you at work because he's trying to get you to actually pray for those people at your job, because the enemy will use people at your job, and you know what, to try to get you to have a certain reaction towards them. So sometimes you got to be like, you know what, I'm gonna just pray for you. And God uses those tests too to draw us closer to him. But then there will be a time where it could be like God is telling you to move on. If you know God called you to do a certain thing, Say it's to start your own company. Maybe God is trying to tell you, like, you know what, your time up, your season at this job is done. It's time to move on. So you just have to get in prayer with him and be still and try to figure out, okay, God, what do I need to learn here? What are you trying to show me about myself? Oh, maybe I need to work on my attitude. You know what? Those people who are giving me a hard time at work, let me smile at them, tell them good morning. You know, it could be a matter of different things. Look how God is working through you. Ha! Nothing but good energy flowing tonight. Thank you. Yeah, I'm serious. We just having a regular conversation. That's all it is. Anybody else? Oh, thank you, TT. I'm just here to help people. I told y'all that's my purpose. I enjoy having conversations with people. Oh my God. Oh, Chrissy, thank you. Thank you. I just enjoy having conversations because you know what? I remember there was a time when the person that I needed the person that I am now when I was like 22. So I remember when I had got laid off from work. This was 2010. Yeah, I think like 2010 I had got laid off from work. And I was like, I have no job, I have a degree, I have no money. Like, what is my purpose? And I think that probably started the journey of me finding my purpose, because that's when I went back to get my master's in integrated marketing communication, which gave me the idea at the time to want my own, I wanted my own marketing company. Going back to my purpose, instead of having my own marketing, I wanted my own marketing company to help other people with their social media. Come back around full circle, I have my own company with Pray the Impossible, where I'm doing the marketing and communications that what I would have done for somebody else, I'm doing for myself now. So yeah, the situations like that happen in life help you to also find your purpose. So go back to you, Nani. Let's see. How do I keep calm through my storms? I trust God, but these storms feel like days I want to give up. Girl, I don't know how many times I feel like that. All the time. It's hard, right? Because when you are going through storms of life, and when the storms of life come, it comes on full force, right? And it's like every time you look, something is going on, and you're like, God, like, I'm not understanding. Why are you putting me through this? Why am I going through this? And he puts you through these storms of life because he's trying to purge you of your old ways. He's trying to transform your thoughts. He's trying to renew your mind. He's trying to get you to trust him. He's trying to build your faith. So the only way that we can get to our next level is through the storms. That's how we build our faith. That's how we draw closer to God. That's how God spends time with us. So you have to get to a point where it's like, you know what? Let me dedicate 5 minutes out of my day to God. And over time, it's going to increase, but at least start with, you know what? 5 days, let me center my mind. So what I do is every morning I say, you know, God, thank you for transforming my thoughts and renewing my mind. Thank you for creating in me a clean and pure heart. Thank you for aligning my thoughts with your thoughts. Thank you for giving me new thoughts. So it's just building that relationship with God. That's basically at the end of the day, when you're going through these tests and these storms, God is calling you closer to him because he wants that relationship with you, because he's trying to make you and mold you and shape you into the person that ultimately you're supposed to become. So the person that you're supposed to become is the person who's supposed to walk in your purpose and use your spiritual gifts through that purpose. Because I trust the Almighty, but some days I just want to say that's it. We all do. Trust me, it's hard. Life is hard, but that's only because the enemy doesn't want you to prosper. So that's why, like, he'll send these attacks. Also, at the same time, God will send the attacks too. God will allow the enemy to test us. God will allow the enemy to attack our finances and all types of things just so that we can trust in him, just so that we can let go of ourselves and trust in God more, so that we know that he's in control of everything. Hey, Tanea. So, let me take some more water. Anybody else have anything? So if not, we can wrap this up and I can give you a couple more gems for the night. Oh, you're welcome. I can give you a couple more gems for the night and then we can wrap it up, and then y'all can DM me to let me know what y'all want to talk about next Thursday. And I'll see y'all next Thursday. So if anybody else has any other questions, I'll answer them. We can continue to engage in conversation, and then after that, we can call it a night. Oh, you're welcome. I love you too. Yes, you're welcome. So, gems from my heart for tonight. Oh, I don't want to replace that. So gems. Oh, I love y'all. I truly, y'all don't know how like my heart is smiling right now. I am so thankful and I'm so blessed, and I thank y'all for just being on this episode 1 with me in this journey. It truly means a lot. So, gems from my heart. Thank you, girl. All right. That's the thing. Yes, you said I'm needed, right? And I didn't even ask for any of this, right? Like, I was good with the level that I was on back then. And what I realized is in 2017, yeah, I think 2017, I asked God to use me. And I really didn't know what that meant, but when you tell God you want to be used, he's going to stretch you. He's going to make you uncomfortable. He's going to just transform you and make you this person, and you're going to feel all types of crazy. You're going to feel all these emotions because you're becoming who he needs you to be so that he can use you. So trust me, I have my time where I am tired. Like, I get tired. I'm like, I just can't. But I know, like, to your point, like, I know that there are people who need me. So days, even when I want to take a break, I feel like I can't take a break because I know there's at least one person out there, if I post something, that's going to touch them. So I know that on this journey of life, it's hard. But when you are here to help other people, you got to put that aside, and you just gotta, yup, like you said, keep the faith, and you just got to keep going. And it's like, you can rest, but then you got to get back and do the work that God called you to do. I hope to be at your point soon. Keep being my role model. You have the faith, your love. Oh, you are so welcome. Listen, it's a process. I wasn't always like this. It's a process, but you have to be intentional. That's the key. And too many of us want to give up. Too many of us want to quit. When life gets hard, it's like, forget this. I'm going to go back to doing whatever I used to do. But it's like, I reached a place in my life where it's like, I can't go back. First of all, I don't even know who that person is. So I can't even go back to who I used to be. And even if I tried, I feel uncomfortable because I'm like, my life has changed so much over the past 2 years. It's like, I can't even go back to that. And not to say that I was a bad and a horrible person, but it's just like, my way of life has changed. My thinking has changed. My faith has changed. My prayer life has changed. Everything about me has changed. So it's like, because now I know my purpose, I can't go back to being the person who didn't know her purpose, if that makes sense. So you just have to be intentional. You just have to, if you want to become better, you have to put in the work. Like, this didn't happen overnight. I had to put in the work, and put in the work means sacrifices. That meant, I couldn't go to everything. Some nights I had to just be in my house and continue to write. Sometimes it meant being obedient. Like, it meant doing the things God's way and not doing it my way anymore. So it's hard. I'm not gonna lie, it is hard. But you know what? I see the rewards. I see the people that I'm helping. So you just gotta keep pushing through. It's been tough, but hearing comforting words from our friend lifts me up. I am an atheist, but I believe in love, peace, and I believe in you. Yes, Crystal. And we used to have these conversations all the time. But you know what? I'm glad that God is using me in a way where you are receiving love, you are receiving peace, and that you believe in me because God is in me. So that's who you believe in. Oh, come on, Sheila. And it's like, it's the God in me that you see. So you may not believe in him, which is, that's for you. But you see, it's the God in me that you actually see, because Brandy would be out here turning up and not being on this live right now. But because I know that this is my purpose, I know that this is my calling, this is what God has used me to do, that's why I'm here. Yes, yes, yes. No progress without sacrifice. Absolutely. So, Crystal, I will continue to encourage you. You know I love you. So, yes, peace and love and blessings and all that good stuff. All that good stuff. So, these, you're welcome. So, these heart to hearts will be anywhere between 15 minutes to an hour. Today, I think we did about a little over 35 minutes, which is cool with me. Y'all could DM me, friends, y'all could text me later, we could talk. I don't want to keep everybody here all night. So if nobody has anything else, we are good. I enjoyed tonight. I thank y'all for joining in with me. And so I will just leave you with a few more gems. So, 1, don't count yourself out. Whatever it is, do not count yourself out. Whatever you don't like about yourself, or whatever you think that you're not that great at, don't count yourself out, because that's exactly what God is going to use for you, for your gifts and your purpose. So don't count yourself out. Number 2 is, whatever you're passionate about and enjoy doing, that might be your gift and that might be your purpose. So I want you to take time to reflect on what you enjoy doing, and then whatever you enjoy doing, that might lead to what your purpose is, if you don't know what your purpose is. Number 3, it's not too late to discover your purpose. So like I mentioned earlier, you just have to spend time with God, and he will reveal to you what your purpose is. You just got to get into a quiet space, just you and him, no distractions, and let him just speak to you. So whether that's reading devotionals, whether that's listening to gospel music, whatever it is that is your private time with God, he will reveal it to you. You just have to listen and declutter yourself. And sometimes that also might take you fasting from social media. That might take you fasting from whatever your favorite food you like to eat. Whatever the sacrifice is that's going to actually be a sacrifice, where it's like, oh my God, like, oh, I miss my coffee, I miss this. That's your sacrifice. So whatever it is that you may have to sacrifice, that's how God will also reveal to you what your purpose is. And then last but not least, your purpose is on the other side of fear. So whatever it is that you are, whatever it is that you are fearing to do, I'm not going to call nobody out, but I know somebody who's supposed to be writing a book, not me, but somebody else is supposed to be writing a book, and you may be scared or fearful or whatever it is. What your purpose is on the other side of that. So once you push past that fear of whatever you're supposed to do, whatever you feel in your heart you're supposed to do, that's where you will also discover your purpose as well. So yes, so those are my gems for the night. And I will be posting this on YouTube for those of you who have just joined. I will post it on my YouTube page, Pray the Impossible, so that you can catch the replay of this. And I thank you all for tuning in. So I'm going to leave you with live, love, laugh, and give God all the glory. So I thank you guys again, and I will see you guys next Thursday at 8. Have a good night.